So for the last year, this little camera here has been my daily carry. This is the Canon Demi, and for anyone who wants to know more about it, you can see the video I made for it somewhere up here. Now, whilst I love this camera and plan to keep using it for many years to come, I have a few gripes with it, which is why I decided to jump forward 20 years in camera history and pick myself up one of these. This is the Agfa Optima Flash. Now right away you'll notice that this is quite a striking camera. It's incredibly 80s, so you'll either love it or hate it. But importantly for me, it's incredibly compact and also has a built-in flash. Now I'll get into why that's such a big deal for me in a moment, but first I think we should probably go take some photos on it. So I'm going to be bringing it with me to a short film I'm focus pulling on this weekend. If you're like me and you need 10 hours of sleep a night to feel functional, I really don't recommend working in the film industry. Despite my sleep-deprived state, I managed to successfully load the Optima, the roll of Ultramax 400, and hit the road. After safely strapping it for it, of course.
It's gonna be good.
So, after turning up on set, meeting all the new faces and performing my camera assistant duties, I decided it was time to go up and find my first victim.
So many cameras.
Someone didn't get much sleep.
One picture? Yeah, both of you.
I think for my first shot of the day, this actually came out really well, especially considering I later realised I completely misread the scale of my camera and set it to 3 feet instead of 3 meters. Luckily it was bright enough that I assumed my aperture was at like f16, so I managed to get everything sharp. After a bit more sleuthing around and trying to juggle keeping both the Komodo and my Optima sharp, I managed to grab a couple more shots.
Yeah, it just looks too obvious that it's...
Nothing amazing, but I think they captured the day pretty well.
So this is just...
No pose. Look at James, look.
No, you're gonna ruin it!
Oh!
Do we get it?
Yeah, you locked in.
After lunch, it was time for Jake the Steadicam op to put me to shame by building and balancing his entire system in less time than it took me to build the handheld rig the night before. Now it's at this point in my role where I clearly started to struggle a bit with the Optima. Whilst I like this shot, I realised when I got my negatives back that I hadn't been taking into consideration the offset of the viewfinder from the lens. As a result, a lot of the following photos seem to be awkwardly framed, and sometimes some of the things in the image I intended to capture are just completely cut off. Unfortunately, this is sort of the process with new film cameras a lot of the time. They all have their quirks, and getting used to them I personally think is part of the fun of it. That said, I do wish I could have got some better shots of Jake, as he was absolutely killing it on set with that monster rig.
Because that's kind of less of an angle if it's like that.
It's still... So just go slow for now.
Yeah, it's like,
I think it's
pushing, definitely pushing it.
After dinner break, it was time to film a slightly more intense scene. Here I would spend about 30 minutes in prime fake blood splash zone, where I decided to realise my lifelong dream of becoming a crime scene photographer.
Oh.
Albeit I'm not sure crime scene photographers are supposed to take pictures whilst the crime is happening.
Yeah, you need more flags.
Anyway, after wiping off all the fake blood, it was time to film a few more setups.
Oh.
It's fine.
Jamie, is that good for blocking? Like in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately at this point I was hitting the 14-hour mark in my shoot day. My ability to get sharps on the Optima just went completely out the window. The only saving grace was that at least I was still hitting them on the Komodo.
You know what? Fuck yeah, to be honest. That's it? That's fucking it.
What? Woo! Say the line!
Oh fuck, what's the line again? Oh. That's a wrap on his Nick calling, everyone. Jim's it!
And there we go, after 15 hours on set, it was finally time to de-rig the camera and begin packing up all the kit for the day, the whole time praying I would get some usable shots out of my little Optima and also hoping that I hadn't just spent the whole day blinding people for no good reason.
More or less. Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Sorry, man. Now at this point I'd like to say I went home, crawled into bed and slept off the very long work day I just had. However, no shoot is complete until you've had the wrap party, right? So as soon as I got the kit back home safe, I headed straight back out into town and captured some of probably my favourite photos of the entire day. So earlier in the video I talked about how much I've been really enjoying using my Canon Demi as my daily carry. However, despite its f1.7 lens, which is extremely fast, I still sometimes find that I struggle to get a good exposure on it. And even when I do have enough light to get an exposure at f1.7, I find that it gives me such a shallow depth of field that quite a lot of the time I end up missing focus. Now whilst the Optima is quite a bit slower at f2.8, it does get around this problem by using the very simple tactic of just throwing more light onto your scene. And once again, that f2.8 does mean you have a slightly better chance of hitting your sharps. Now it's probably not fair for me to compare these two cameras, they are very different. The Demi, for example, is a half frame camera, so it's basically a different format. That said, it has been my daily carry for the last year, so I thought this would be a good way to weigh up some of the pros and cons of different styles of compact camera. If I could change anything about these two cameras, it would probably be to add a rangefinder system to them, as with both you're just stuck guessing your focus, which can be a bit challenging at times. But anyway, to conclude, I'm really happy with the Optima Flash. The flash is super bright, so you can get a good exposure in even the darkest scenarios. The lens seems super sharp from the photos I've taken on it. It's super compact and super light, and not many people seem to know about them, so I managed to get mine for around £70, which I think is a bargain. So if you're in the market for a 35mm stills camera and you want a built-in flash, the Optima is definitely one to consider. Thanks for watching.